Hola Pablo, ¿me escuchas?
Ahora,
Ahora.
¿sí? Ahora, te escucho. Sí, es que, bueno, me acabo de conectar ahora porque acabamos de llegar, entonces no sabía si había alguna sesión o algo a estas horas.
No, ahora es el descanso y vamos a preparar el taller, el workshop que empieza a las 2.
¿El workshop empieza a las 2?
Sí,
Vale, vale, vale.
la idea
Vale,
era comer de 1 a 2.
vale. Bueno,
¿Vale?
nosotros que llevamos un poco de lío con esto del regreso
Ya, no pasa
a,
nada.
a Valencia. Pero vamos, yo
Nada.
me reincorporo esta tarde lo antes posible
Perfecto, luego
a todo esto.
hablamos.
Muy bien,
Hasta
venga, un abrazo.
luego.
Hasta luego.
A ver, Chris, creo que te he ascendido a panelista ya. Ya apareces como panelista. Lo que no sé si puedes hablar, poner la cámara, eso lo tienes que habilitar tú, creo. Y te puedo pasar el anfitrión.
And that is the reflecting that these projects are very dynamic and complex. Then the next point is what do we do from an organizational point of view? How do organizations need to adapt and change? Then there is a very high pace in new knowledge coming up and so on. So how do we deal with the knowledge in the projects and organizations in facing the digital transformation? And then last but not least, the question is, what is the impact of all of this here? Because we are doing the digital transformation, hopefully with a purpose. And sustainability and the right impact is the fourth topic. So these 4 topics are the core of this knowledge alliance to think about this. Everything related to the management of the digital transformation with projects and of the digital transformation of projects. How is it done today? It's not done. That is why we want to invent it. We are facing a very big diversity of projects. So there is a broad scope of this project that we somehow need to cover or to narrow. So there is the typical innovation projects where new digital products and services are developed, software development, IT gadgets, and so on. So that is digital transformation projects because digital products are developed, innovation is happening, startups are coming up, disruption, and so on. Then there is the digital transformation of maybe existing business processes and business models or new business processes and business models. So this is more like the process engineering domain. It's a digital transformation in this field. Then there is organizational development projects. So the digital transformation in organizations. How do we build new organizations? Starting from the lean startup up to big organizations. What is the future of multinationals after the digital transformation? And then there is also the classical IT project. This is all examples for projects that are done in order to foster the digital transformation. And they are happening in more and more projectized organizations. So the organizations are changing from process or hierarchy-oriented organizations to projectized organizations. And therefore, the development, test, and evaluation with partners from consulting, IT, engineering, tool vendors, and so on is what we want to do. We want to develop these ways of doing the projects and to find out what is good and what is usable. So how do we do this? This is a bit about the typical Erasmus projects. So an Erasmus project says, please plan it in 4 phases. Yeah? The preparation phase, the development phase, the quality management, and the dissemination and exploitation, and plan also a project management work package. And that's all predefined. Yeah? So, which is a bit strange because it doesn't look really agile or explorative or iterative or something like this. So we put something like our own process on top. We have some things that we need to prepare. We need IT platforms, and we want pilots, and we want to try out these pilots, and then we want to publish it. We have also quality management, but the core element that we have is an iterative process, where we are saying, okay, we are specifying what we want to do, concept and so on. By the way, what we did today in the morning, yeah, reviewing this concept, and then when we go through an iteration loop here, yeah, we do this cycle several times. Meaning, we are designing content, concepts, teaching materials, whatever. We try it out by pilot teaching for the teaching materials, by project use for the project management methodology. We evaluate, we do an improvement plan, and then we go back to the iteration. And if we like it, if it is good, then we release it. So this is trying to put a more agile and iterative approach on top of the traditional, let's say, waterfall model of these Erasmus EU projects. There is, many of you may know, there is a project management methodology, PM Square, by the European Union, which is also trying to incorporate agile elements into this classical flow. Why do we think that we are innovative? We bring together project management and digital transformation, which is probably a hot topic right now. We work in a distributed setup by building agile communities of practice around the different topics. So it is not a monolithic project, but the project is trying to get communities of practice up and running, which are dealing with the topics, let's say, in a self-organized and independent way. And we also want to find out how good this concept is for this kind of EU projects. Then we implement and test the outcomes frequently, hopefully, in academic programs and in companies. So we have also this professional focus on the industry, and we have involved organizations like IEEE, like IPMA, which can help us to see what can be part of standards. There's a number of the partners here that you can see. The group is a bit bigger. Here's the universities that are participating in Kaunas, in Trondheim, in Bilbao, in Leuven, and in Dortmund. And then we have a number of partners. I don't want to go into detail with this because we have limited time. This is the consortium, as you can see, in different countries of the European Union, typical setup of an Erasmus project. The cycle, I would like to look at least a bit into this. So this communities of practice, they are developing new concepts, like, for example, like an e-learning module. Then from this module, we are going to teach it. So the same people here are also the teachers for it. They form the pool of experts and teachers. We do pilot teaching in different study programs, company trainings, and so on. And based on the evaluation, we are improving and go through this cycle many times. And this can happen in a distributed setup because we are developing a digital education ecosystem, and that will help us as a virtual platform for teaching and learning to deliver it in the different partner institutions. I want to say some words about the communities of practice. We call it open communities of practice, not just because it is open for new people to join, but we also follow an open access strategy for all the results that we are developing. So we want to publish everything in open access, like open source software, open educational resources. I just want to show this one here. So we are right now in this phase here of starting up the communities of practice. So this concept, how we want to do it in our project, is a bit elaborated. We have initiated a number of them. Members are selected. We are assigning roles, and they are just starting to work on this specification documents, for example. Yeah? And the idea is that these communities continue after the project ends. So the funding project ends, but the communities can work independently as long as the topic is relevant and the things are needed. And then, of course, if it is not relevant anymore, it will we will wind it down. For the teaching, it's maybe interesting. So as said, we are developing training and learning materials as one outcome. And there we also follow a digitally transformed approach, of course. And this means that we have the different aspects of the competences that we want to deliver, the theoretical knowledge, the practical skills, and also the scientific, or let's say the ability attitude part of the competences. And for the theoretical knowledge, we will use a lot of distance learning and online learning approaches. So that is the idea that with e-learning models that people can from any place at any time work on the knowledge. For the practical skills, we want to work projectized. So the people should work in projects or in project situations. So the workshop, the project, also 1 week, we call it block week, in presence, that will be the typical things, also to allow mixing participants internationally, interdisciplinary, and so on. And then there is a reflection part where people reason about what they have done, because especially for the university, it's important that it has a scientific aspect, and that will be different types of scientific reflections. Okay, I'm summarizing a bit. So what will be delivered at the end of the day? One thing that we want to approach is, or to start to develop, is a competence model for digital transformation. That is not just that we are collecting all the competences that you need for the digital transformation. This is done in many other projects, but we want to think about a digital framework to describe the competences and to make them accessible for operational work, for working with it in digital environments. Then we are also thinking about a digital transformation maturity model and a digital sustainability canvas, what you can contribute to these things. We have, of course, e-learning and teaching modules on master level. We have these communities of practice that are emerging from it. We have a number of events that we want to do, workshops, summer schools, conferences, and so on. And there's maybe finally also the idea to have study programs updated and maybe with double degrees. We have training programs in companies based on this competence model, of course. And we have then the dissemination, where we have a number of conferences like this conference, tech talks, online marketing campaign, and so on. Yeah, this is about the dissemination. Yeah, we have the IEEE and the IPMA in the consortium, and we want to present there. I still hope that the IPMA World Congress will take place to some extent in St. Petersburg. Let's see. And then we have the academic educational resources that we want to bring up. And we have the company training resources that we want to publish. And yeah, there's the EU publication platforms for this. And we also want to generate with the company partners success stories where we say, okay, this was tried, we have evaluated it, this is a best practice, something like this. So that is yeah, the hopefully very fast summary about this ProDIT project. And I don't know, Carolina, I think we are moving immediately to the next one, right?
Carolina, you are muted.
Still muted.
Muted.
We cannot hear you.
Let me.
No.
Okay, now.
Okay. Thank you, Karsten. You were sharp on time. 14 minutes. Very good. Yeah, well, we will now show you a very quick video how to make the comments and the questions, to put them in the whiteboard, because this is our workshop. So the intention or the aim of this workshop is to have some input from the participation of the people. So Anna, maybe you can show the video.
Yes, maybe quickly to explain. So after each presentation or after each keynote speaker, we will open the whiteboard and we will ask you to put some comments. There will be some questions and comments. But for people who never used it, I will show you now very shortly where to find it and how to do this. So you should be able to see now my screen. Video is going. And when I open the whiteboard, you have to go to the view options and find annotation there. And then you can choose the text and just put your answer there. Important is when you finish typing, you have to click outside of your typing text somewhere on the whiteboard, and then the text will appear there. Apart from the text, you can also put a lot of different things. You can change the color, but I think for us, the most important is the text. There will be only 3 questions for each project or for each presentation. And then we will also put these questions and use them, the answers to them for the panel discussion. So I hope everybody understood how to do this. So now I will open the whiteboard, see if it works. So now you have to see the whiteboard here. Is it correct? And I don't know why I cannot put the question. I cannot put the text besides what I said. So maybe Caro can put this. This is the question for this presentation that Carsten did. My first question, please write in this box. I will clean first of all the drawings. Please write in this box your opinion about what is your advice for the audience working with this kind of projects. The question is again, what is your advice for the audience working with this kind of projects? Someone said they cannot write and still wrote this. Okay, if this is not working, then put the text in the chat.
Also, me neither. Can you see when I'm writing?
No, when you write, you have to click outside of your writing on the whiteboard, and then the text appears.
Project. No.
Then please write your answers in the chat. The question is again, what is your advice for the audience working with this kind of projects?
It seems it doesn't work for me neither.
Carolina, you have to open a text box. When you go to annotate, then text,
Yes,
and then you should write it.
Yes.
But it doesn't.
When I do it, it is deleted automatically.
Yeah, you can write, but then it gets.
But then yes, it goes. Yeah.
So
Because
maybe in the chat.
tried this with Anna before and it worked, but now
Yeah.
it doesn't work. Maybe. Okay, so we go, as Anna said, we go to the chat and we write the questions there. So we will copy them and
yeah, I put the question in the chat, and just maybe for the help, I'll put it this way so you can also see the question. So please now put your answers to the question number 1. So you can write 1 and then answer in the chat. You see my presentation, is it correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So for this, we have 2 minutes, and then
I'll be putting automatically here.
Okay.
Trying to recreate the whiteboard.
Yeah, it was the plan B.
Good project managers.
Yes.
Again, what is your advice for the audience who works with this kind of projects? You can move on and write also in the chat the answers to the next question, just put 2 and an answer, 3 and an answer.
For we will have for each of the presentations, we would make the same procedure and to answer this question. So you have time to think about any question or any comment, or if you want to share any experience, just write down your comment. And then, as Anna said, after the presentations, we will have the round table and we will discuss all your comments and questions, okay? So
maybe also we will give another 2-3 minutes
okay.
chance to answer for other questions, maybe. I know we are not that many, but maybe a bit more answers. Or if you have any other comments, you can also put it down, and I will also put it here on the board. Okay. Mm-hmm. So,
okay. So we continue with the agenda.
let's give another minute. We have a bit of time, isn't it?
And I will present Peter, but the half of the time of Karsten. So.
Mm-hmm. So 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's not Karsten, it's Galina, the next one.
Okay. See one more. Okay, so everybody can continue writing in the chat for any project that will be presented. Please only write the name, like project, and then number of the question. And I will continue putting this into the presentation, and then we'll show you later on. So, Caro, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Let me check. Yeah, you can hear me. Okay. So I will present the next speaker. She's the Dr. Professor Galina Tabunsik. Yes, she's a professor of Software Tool Department of the National University of Zaporizhia Polytechnic. And she's a specialist in software engineering, and she has more than 150 scientific works and 8 books. She's now the head of the scientific research group of reliability of information system of software. And she's supervising PhD students and the head of the state budget scientific research project. And also she's member of the editorial board of a scientific journal, Radioelectronics Informatics Control. So I leave the floor to our key speaker expert, Galina.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, okay. Very much. Thank you for inviting me. And generally, today I will give you a short introduction into our capacity building for higher education Erasmus Plus project, cross-domain competencies for a healthy and safe work in the 21st century workforce. I will follow Karsten's scheme and first tell that it is a capacity building project, and the main idea of capacity building projects by Erasmus Plus is to make a project based on a multinational partnership between higher educational institutes from partner and program countries. So, and the task of this project is to modernize, make more international, increase access to the higher education in general, to face the challenges in the higher education. But mainly it is to face problems on the university level. So, when we was writing this project, it was at the same time when I was writing the ProDIT project as well. Yes, so the idea was that nowadays the market becomes more global, the labor force is shifting, and that's why a lot of careers are under big risks now. And we could never imagine that a situation with the COVID will really bring these shifts and these risks on the completely other level. And we see it that really all this digitalization, globalization, it's the lack of, in the end, it ends with the lack of workforce, and it's shifting all the time from one side to another. For example, when the COVID starts, there was less people who has these digital skills. We have less environment for these digital skills. Now, when situation with COVID become easier, the labor market faced with the other problem, it is difficult to return people on their workplaces, and as they are paid by governments, yes, so nobody want to return and to restart their work. So it is also global. So the main aspect of the new workforce is that it should be concentrated on the human capital, yes, and university should reflect very quickly on all these changes on the market level, to be flexible and to give all this required cross competencies to have this workforce which are required on the labor market. So we have this project, and it was granted by European Union, and the duration of it will be 3 years. We're already in the middle, already in the end of the first year. Yes, and the grant holder is National University Zaporizhzhia Polytechnic, Ukraine. We're very honored to be the grant holder of such big consortium. You see, as the capacity building projects aimed to bring together European and European universities and partners from partner countries, there are universities, 3 universities from Ukraine and 3 universities from Azerbaijan as from partner countries, yes, and consortium from the European partners are the same as in ProDIT, a little less, yes. We have Fachhochschule Dortmund, Leuven, and University of Basque Country as well. Associations are not the part of the consortium. They are like associative partners, which are planned to use for dissemination of our results and for cooperation with them to receive the requests from the labor market as well. So, as I already told, we are very honored to be the grant holder of these big projects and such big consortium, yes, and we hope that our small experience participating in such projects will help us to do it in the best way and to receive our main goals. And what are our main goals? They are to develop new forms of university enterprise cooperation, to deliver new job-related competencies for the workplaces in future, to promote international and interdisciplinary co-production of learning content. So from these main goals, we defined our specific tasks which should be achieved, and they are development of the e-learning modules and implementation of the co-production approach, which was already Karsten described, which is based on the idea of the open communities of practice. And we hope that based on our knowledge, there will be developed certification systems to foster the relevance to industry. We needed to train lecturers to make this pool of lecturers, company trainers, and to bind them with the communities of practice. Also, we hope to give our impact to this competence model for work. As the task of this capacity building project is to improve university, yes, to improve capacity of the universities. The idea is also to update the curricula of master programs in partner universities by the modules which are developed within this project. As the result also is to create this virtual cross-border master virtual master school, yes, hopefully with the double degrees. So you see, tasks are very ambitious, and our main target groups in such capacity building are universities in European countries, universities in partner countries. And the idea is to improve the capacity of the universities. This is the first and main task of such projects. With one of the workforce for the university, it is lecturers and scientists, and that's why they are our basic target group, yes, to improve their skills and to improve the knowledge, also to connect them more to the industry. And after it, of course, students who will receive these results, and as you already heard, that there will be special educational tracks, students' journeys, and the students will have possibility to receive in the end competencies which are more close to the labor market. Nowadays, it is impossible without lifelong learning, yes, to be this is the main aspect in this quickly changing world, yes, with all these quickly changing global requirements. That's why we should always have as target groups executives, professionals, companies, graduates, because we need to cooperate with them, giving them possibility. So to be this bidirectional communication, all communication is always bidirectional, but here we should stress. So they give us their requirements, and we try to teach and improve knowledge of their workers as well. And what is also very important in cooperation with the industry, in our case, how we, like, it is very also complicated. We had discussion already with local business that if they will tell us their requirements today, it is so we will be late in 5 years, yes, because generally the industry should also be very highly involved, because the new graduates, so the new students which will enter our universities this year, they will be graduates in 5 years. So we are expecting that industry could give us something like forecast impact, what type of graduates they are expecting from us in 5 years, at least. How they see it. And of course, when we're talking about universities, we can't forget about ministries of education. It's not so it is not only bidirectional cooperation universities business. It is always triangle. Yes, without ministry, universities and support of ministries, we can't cooperate, and it is also bidirectional. So that's why they are also our target groups in these projects. To summarize what was already told, just you can see on this slide our main outcomes. They are e-learning modules. It will be digital portal, because it is the project about also digital transformation in the educational sphere, and digital portal is one of the basic technological part of this digital transformation of our education. And then there will be train-the-trainer modules, and we hope strong communities of practice, certification system, virtual master school, updated curriculums. Yes, so this is our sustainable long-term results, yes, outcome. And packages which could be used by professional and executives. Also, in the end, you see like the line, as it is capacity building for the universities. The universities in partner country have funding for improve their equipment base, so there will be installed digital co-production labs in partner countries. So one of the, as we are changing university system, we are developing 9 learning modules, and it is done in this with the usage of this new co-production model by communities of practice. You see that there was defined 9 learning modules at master level, and we suppose so each university, each partner university has ownership, but this doesn't mean that one university create this module and deliver it to other. The idea is to use this new co-production model when from the beginning stage, all partner universities has their representatives and highly involved in the production of this learning module. All this production is done according to the didactic concept, which is developed by Fachhochschule Dortmund. And you can see that this life cycle for developing these learning modules, especially we are now at the first stage, we're designing our modules. And of course, we're already facing some challenges. We're trying to overcome them. It is a design stage, and at this stage we're planning, so we're now making this specification of the modules and reviewing. Next step will be pilot teaching. So there will be training for training modules. It will be developing the content. It will be reviewing pilot teaching with the students. And it is, if we are as universities, should reflect quickly on the changes of the labor market. It should be a continuous, endless process to be all the time updated based on the requirements of the labor market. Of course, tools could vary, which could be used for developing of these modules, and generally it is so each university define itself or what way of tools they are going to use. And so And to summarize all this approach, just you could see that all this process is iterative, and it's iterative from the stage of the idea to the evaluation of the quality assurance, yes, of the results, and based on this quality assurance, we go to the next iteration for improvement of our e-learning module. So this is main idea. And don't forget, so we all know how it works. Yes, well, it's not a learning module, it's not a new idea. The basic challenge of what we are meeting now, it is how to produce it in this co-production model, in this within this community of practice. And as I start this presentation, and I just want to end that the main what we have now, it is human potential. So it is people who are working, and they are the main focus of digital transformation and main focus of the projects, and they are the main value of the project, and they are the main challenge of the project. And that's why all this work is very interesting and very important for making our universities more capable, more suitable, and more adjustable in this global world to attract more students and be more useful for them. So, to summarize what I have already told, so the aim of our workforce project is to we address the needs for new competencies, standards, learning material, and didactic formats, which could be imported into the new Work 4.0 environment. For these purposes, we are going to set this special combination of competencies, and all our work is done in projectized and digitalized way. The aim task is to increase employability of our graduates to be more smart and for the changes of the labor market. And all this work, all this project is done with the usage of this new production model. So thank you very much for your attention. You can see all our updates on the website and all other our social media. Thank you very much for attention. I hope I was in time.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much, Galina. It was very interesting and useful information. Well, now as we repeat the same procedure, please take some minutes to write and to answer these questions for this presentation, or the comments or questions regarding to the topic, and put the comments in the chat, and then we will put it in the PowerPoint presentation.
Anna.
Yes.
The administration has the goal of keeping itself alive is for number 4.
Okay.
This was kind of a remark on Sarah's question.
Not a problem.
But I forgot to number it.
And the answers, where should we put the answers? Or I could
in the chat.
In
the chat?
Yes.
That's no, you should put the questions there. The answers is essentially for the panel discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Questions, answers, remarks, everything that is related. We will put this on the board, and then the actual discussion will be during the panel. Something more than okay, so we can put it on the board.
Yeah, you missed one in the chat.
Which one?
On the target, what you want to reach at 2:30. on number
Yep.
2.
Yeah, I see.
And also number 1. Yeah, but this is not with workforce. This was with ProDIT, but this
It
is
was
similar.
for the product. The same? Okay, I can copy.
Yeah.
Yeah. 30 more seconds. But afterwards, you can still continue to write it down.
Peter, will you reply your question, answer? Will you repeat it?
Which answer?
Peter, just.
Sorry?
Peter, you
Nagisa?
sent it. Yeah, do you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yes.
can hear.
You put it privately, but you wanted to put it to all, to the number 3.
Number 3. Yeah, okay. So I worked in similar projects. Yes, in about 8. So not essentially digital transformation project, but the capacity building project, which always have some kind of digital aspect about it. But I noticed there is one word wrong in my remark on number 4. Hannah? There is a word setup, but it should be setback.
Set back.
Back instead of set up. Or bottleneck you can also put. That's a point for discussion later.
Okay, you can continue writing in the chat. Please also specify which project and number of the question, and Carolina, you can continue.
Okay, so the next key speaker is Dr. Peter Arras, and he's a senior lecturer in the Faculty of Engineering Technology of KU Leuven in Belgium. Also in bachelor and master degrees courses on design methods and numerical methods for mechanical design. He has more than 30 years of higher education institute teaching. He's a program director for the Master in Engineering and in Electromechanics, and the International Relations Officer and responsible for the exchange program in FET. He has 15 years of professional experience in managing international education projects, and also 15 years in international teaching experience. So Peter, welcome. You have the voice. You have the floor.
Okay, I will try to share my screen. I think you should see it by now.
Yes.
The presentation, I hope.
Yes.
Not the view with all of our cells on top. Okay, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about experience and impact of digital transformation on education. And we see here the buzzwords which we always meet when you talk about digital transformation. It's quite a lot. It's paperless, cloud, aligned opportunities, connected, and so on. So we will have a look a little bit at what is there and what is the impact also for higher education, because most of us come from a university background. So we are very much in touch with this, because as Kalina said, we are teaching the future people. People of the future are students. When they start as a bachelor, they leave university 4, 5, 6 years, and then they're part of society. So we should try to look a little bit upfront and see that we still have the right things to teach them. So I'm going to give some definitions and then look at digital transformation everywhere and impact on education. And then the next thing, what is coming. So in the definitions, there is a kind of a mix-up with different things. So the first thing is digitization. That's the process of converting information from a physical or analog format into a digital one. This is the first step. This has been going on for already some decades. For instance, if you scan a document of minutes of meetings and put them on your computer in a file, this is an example of digitization. In comparison to the paper things you keep, this should be a little bit more sustainable and easier to retrack. But of course, experience shows that most people's computer is like a big waste bin. You throw some files in and you never find them again. So there is lacking a little bit of things in there. It's not enough. So the next step is digitalization. That's the process of leveraging digitized data to improve a number of processes. So if we look at the difference with digitization, you need digitization first to get things in a digital format, but then you have to work with them. If you look at minutes of meetings as an example, you could scan the document and put it then on a server so that everybody can use it and can retrace it. Yeah, this is definitely something which got a better output. A lot of more people can use the information. It's more traceable. People can remark on it and so on. So that's okay too. But for digitalization, you already need digitization. And then the next step in what's also in historical in the buzzwords is the digital transformation. And digital transformation is essentially the implementation of a series of technological and human changes to restructure the existing models and processes, and thereby leading to new opportunities and values for businesses and processes. Well, essentially, so digital transformation is just the impact of which is caused by the process of digitalization. If you do digitalization right, and it's got a positive outcome, then you're doing a digital transformation. If you look at the minutes of the meetings again, yeah, well, put a document on a shared area where you can also link to with meetings, allow comments and so on. And this is the kind of thing we also we are doing in these projects like ProDIT and Workforce, where there is a digital environment for making this digital transformation, where everything is single source and available for everybody. So if we visualize it a little bit, yeah, like 20 years ago, we all used just paper and a pen, a little bit more than 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago. And then we started digitizing, put everything on the computer. And now we have the digitalization and digital transformation throughout the day. All is available from different sites. You can work with it. That's the plan. But as we see, of course, there is also the future, which would be falling off the edge of my presentation to the right. It will also offer challenges and opportunities. Yeah. So we should keep, of course, on this track. Now, digitalization and digital transformation is everywhere. Meanwhile, if you look at society, it comes with easy things. And of course, now with pandemic, a lot of other things happened and speeded up this, like things like e-payment. Everything you pay is by card. Cash money is out since 1.5 years. It's let's say it's tough to find cash money, which is an advantage sometimes, but a disadvantage also sometimes. Like for simple, stupid things, it's pretty difficult to put your Payconic smartphone into a shopping cart to enter the shop and do your groceries. There is online shopping, it's digitalized. There is e-government. I'm not pretty sure about other countries, but like in Belgium, like a lot of things is now organized by the government just based on your identity card and your password, and you could do a lot of communication and things with the government. It's also all things part of smart cities. The social media is, of course, a nice example also of digital transformation, which is entering everybody's life, and also consumer products, like for instance, a car. Car, meanwhile, is more than 4 wheels and an engine and a steering wheel. 30% of your car is electronics and software. And this is also very digital by now. In a normal car, you have about 5 to 7 different digital networks operating at the same time. Even if you don't see them as a user, but you do, because you have a radio, you have a multimedia, you have a navigation system, you have motor management. All of this is hidden in there. So it is a very digitalized environment where we live in. Of course, in industry, also digitalization has been around for many, many years. Industry 4.0, when we went on the automation track, which is already which started like 50 years ago. And now Industry 4.0, when we go the next step and connect all industry over the internet, of course, it is digitalized. So what's there for us in education? Also in education, there is a lot of things. Yeah, what happened in education? First things which came there in education was the idea of a personal computing thing. Yeah, universities, they had some research computers, but personal computer since the 1980s it started. This has led to a big digitalization effort in education because university has to follow. The learning management systems, which is there, everybody uses some, like Moodle or Toledo or a Blackboard or a WebCT or whatever system, which urges at first students to go and check there what they have to do, but also teaching staff to put things there and to use the system more and more for testing, for storing results, and so on. There is administration. It was also risen in one of the questions. What about bureaucracy? Well, a lot of university administration, meanwhile, has been digitalized, and it's a digital transformation. The good side is it keeps things together. The back side of it is it's often an overload of mouse clicks you have to use to get somewhere. But at least it can be helpful, and it for sure is helpful for the process of running the university, because numbers and figures and come out from the system just with a few clicks on the button, while in previous times we had to make endless lists of stuff. And then there is the concept of education 4.0, like there is industry 4.0. There is education 4.0. This is a new way of education, and it's got a number of buzzwords. So what is there? There is for sure a more personalized way of studying, of learning. Individual tracks is now the standard, while in the past you had generation tracks of students. Now you have individual learners. There is flexible delivery of your learning content, yeah, with connected learning over the internet. There's remote learning opportunities. These open up also the track for lifelong learning, because these stuff which is stored there, which you can use for individual learning tracks, you can also use for the lifelong learning tracks. There is a multitude of educational tools which is used. Yeah. Learning systems, open courses, MOOCs, SPOCs, whatever is there. Everything is available. E-learning modules, knowledge clips. It can be nice, but it can also be a burden, because it's yeah. In the end, you cannot see the target. It's like when you enter a wood and you need to get out on the backside somewhere, it's tough to find the road in between the trees. It's the same here. Data at fingertips, yeah, and learning anywhere, anytime, everywhere. It's also very important buzzwords in Education 4.0. And then project-based learning, yeah, and modular learning. This is also very important. So this means for the learner, a lot of things change, but also for the teachers, a lot of things change. Yeah, from a teacher, we go more to a peer and a mentor and a coach for students who are learning. Yeah. So ex cathedra teaching is on the decline, classroom teaching. It was speeded up by the pandemic, and it became obvious now for everybody that there is an urge and a need to go on that track more. Yeah, that's one thing for the teachers. Another thing for the teacher is, yeah, student ownership of what they do. As they have more individual tracks, they're much more owner of a number of things than the teacher is. Something we have to do. And then also the problem of assessment. Yeah, easy and accurate assessment in an environment like Education 4.0, where there is like no two students alike, is difficult to examine or assess. What's your standard? And what kind of timing you will use and what kind of format you will use to evaluate your students is becoming a big problem, where also teachers will have to be trained in how to cope with it. Also in Education 4.0 is practical application of what you learned. Yeah. This is often considered like doing a lot of dual learning in industry on the job while studying at the same time. I think like for engineering studies, we still have the concept of a lot of laboratory sessions which do the practical applications. But there is certainly for a number of other studies the problem of getting these practical applications. So if we look at it, it's quite of a challenge for universities to do this. Yeah, we have the digital transformed and digitalized things already, but the challenge for the future is quite big. And this challenge is all on digital transformation. We have the tools, now we need to bring them together to leverage some benefit from it. And the benefit for the universities is, of course, that your students will be successful. Okay, so the mission for the university is to train students for future. And this is also future for digital transformation, if you look at it. What's here is kind of a timeline. And if we look closely at the history of digital things. And let's say it started mid-1980s, because at that time, computers for the first time became personal owned by people. They became affordable, they became usable. And the first generation people, the first generation of this computer was very much used by humans for communication and so on. So the center was a little bit there. And then the next thing, from the 1990s, it was about things. The generation of internet came there. Everything stored on the internet and communication over the internet. And then when this was going right, let's say another 10 years later, another switch was more to the human side again. Things like Facebook and Twitter and all social media took off. They became in existence. Also in 2007, the first smartphones from Apple came there. So these communication tools led to human-centered thing. And if we look now we're talking about Industry 4.0 and things and IoT and artificial intelligence. This is once again on things, on businesses. Everything gets connected, everything gets optimized, everything gets automized. So we see there is some waves going from human-centered to thing-centered. And if we look at the historical perspective, we see that the next wave which will be coming is once again human-centered. In what way will it be? So probably there will be maybe some mixing, or at least that's the idea. There's a mixing of the human-centered thing and the the thing-centered thing. So to combine it and leverage more benefit for the people and making life easier. This is maybe our aim as a university. We should have a look at that. Okay, so the impact of digital transformation also on higher education is pretty big from the point of view what's happening in the processes and what is the future.
Peter, you have 2 more minutes.
Oh, okay, but I was just coming to my last slides.
Okay.
And I could even talk longer, but I would like to thank you for your patience and listening to me. It was a little bit a different approach, but I think it would be nice approach to start the panel discussion and the questions later on.
Yeah, thank you very much. It
You're
was
welcome.
Interesting and different approach, as you said. Thank you very much. So we start now the same procedure of writing your comments, your questions. These are the questions, but now for this presentation for the European project presented by Peter. So we have a couple of minutes, so you can all write your comments.
You can put your questions, suggestions, comments, everything in here. I hope everybody is quiet because they are writing something down. Please pay attention that it's a bit different numbering here. I excluded one of the questions because I think it was not very relevant. Okay. Peter, you can also write something down if you think of anything.
I put my effort in the presentation, so I let others comment on it.
Oh my, okay.
It would be a little bit strange to comment on my own presentation.
Maybe you think of a brilliant idea right now, and we don't know about that. So if any brilliant idea came to your mind right now, you can also put it down. Okay, 30 seconds more. And then you can still continue to write down your thoughts, and we will be moving in 15 seconds to the next presentation. So I think continue writing down your thoughts, and we will continue further. Yeah, Carol, go ahead.
Okay, so our next key speaker is Elvin Mihidov. He's the coordinator for the International Cooperation and Projects at the Academy of the State Customs Committee of the Republic of Azerbaijan, which is both the Customs Committee's Professional Training Institute and the World Customs Organization Regional Training Center. In his capacity, he's in charge of the Erasmus Plus Workforce Project, coordination for the customs education and training in Azerbaijan, where he closely works to build the customs community of practice for development of educational modules fit for the Industry 4.0, Work 4.0, and big data analytics necessary for the customs. So, Elvin, you have the floor. Welcome.
We can see presentation, but we cannot hear you. Yeah, exactly.
Can you see me?
Yes. See.
Is the presentation visible?
Yes.
Right. Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for your introduction, Carolina. I'll try to cut it short. It is rather a long presentation, and I wouldn't like to prolong it further. I'll talk about the customs digital transformations in Azerbaijan, but frankly speaking, I'm not an IT expert and not really a digital expert like most of our professors here, but I do have some info about the customs digital transformation and reforms in Azerbaijan, as this has been a part of our activities as well. I'll talk about the development phases of the customs sector digitalization in the country and key legislative acts, policy, track record, main achievements, challenges, priorities, and the role of our Erasmus Plus workforce project and its relevance for customs. These are the main development phases. From 1995 and from to 2015, we have the customs in Azerbaijan has implemented a special and thorough ICT reform in order to digitalize and make it more efficient for all the international trade participants. The customs in this regard is one of the most digitalized public sectors in Azerbaijan, and currently we are trying to enhance the ICT capacities. If in 1991, the first period, the priority was to form the corporate network for digitalization. Now we have quite different priorities and challenges, but it's good that we have already implemented most of the mentioned the elements, including the SAMS, which means Single Automated Management System, that cross-cuts almost all the custom services. These are key legislative acts. I will not concentrate on them a lot, but this simply reflects that there is an established policy for digitalizing the entire sector of customs. The reason for this is in global trade transactions, as well as for border security. I mean, the role of customs and security are further facilitated through the use of the digital means and the integration and co-integration of the digital platforms among the customs services of different countries under the guidance of the World Customs Organization. This is also a necessity for many customs services, and we have been at the forefront of the digitalization, also given the geographical location of the country. So these legislative acts have been adopted so far, and in most of them, the customs is a cross-cutting element, although not all legislative acts directly relate to the customs sector per se. Almost all these have an important component on the ICTs and customs. So that is why there's an established policy that's been trying to implement it. Our role here, I'd like to highlight an important part with regard to the ICTs sector in the country. In the customs sector, we use the World Customs Organization ICT guidelines for customs services in our training processes. And the advantages to customs, as well as the use of, for instance, specific digital infrastructure at the borders, these do not only require, I mean, the training does not only require some software and theoretical explanations, but you need to bring all the infrastructure for the trainees, and you need to establish the digital environment and the training environment for WCO's ICT guidelines implementation. And this is what the World Training, is what we as a Regional Training Center have been trying to do. Compared to many other sectors, the customs require so it is often a challenge to balance, and to, especially at times of COVID. These are the main track record and achievements of the customs sector. Of course, there are challenges and other issues, but I'll talk about them later. For trade facilitation and risk management and security, the Green Corridor Gating and Customs Clearance System, this has been fully digitalized and established. The customs clearance and simplification of trade, cross-border trade, has been finalized, and single automated management system on which the entire customs services operations and transactions on almost everything based has also been developed and finalized. And currently we have the extensive use of the customs declaration system, without which trade among the countries would almost be very hard and difficult. So e-customs declaration system has been an important component of the e-customs concept development and implementation in Azerbaijan. So we have the result here: more facilitated trade, substantial improvement of customs services, and enhancement of the customs transparency. The e-government integration of the customs services has also been underway, and this is an important central, I'm sorry, need to, yeah, we have instituted 16 services to the centralized e-government system of Azerbaijan, and currently we exchange data with 14 public administrations. There is a similar system which we apply with other countries when it comes to exchange of data. Full customs clearance and control processes is one of the most important priorities for ICT's development. And this is also related to how we balance the trade facilitation and risk management, which is the key task for customs of all countries. There's always a dilemma between how to facilitate trade and how to ensure security. And this requires also an important bulk of work for digital transformation in the digital transformation. So any software and hardware has to be adjusted to this important function of national economic security and facilitation of trade or easing trade. We also prioritize the blockchain technology-led supply chain platform, and it was, we joined the Trade Lens system developed by Myers and IBM. In that regard, blockchain is also currently an important priority, but this has already been an achievement since we joined it. Risk management in customs across the world, its digitalization is not an old phenomenon. It's actually a new phenomenon, and it's the risk assessment at all stages of the customs activity across the borders is facilitated through the means of artificial intelligence. And since 2014, in accordance with the mentioned program, we have SAMS risk system, which is single automated management system component device for risk management. And this is only for the automated identification and assessment of risks. There is a program of the World Customs Organization on how to do that. So in that regard, the World Customs Organization ICT guidelines plays an important role. This smart customs app is just also part of the trade facilitation component through which we can make mobile declaration of the goods and items brought for the personal use, for any business and commercial uses, not only by physical persons, as I've mentioned here. I'd like to give some examples on the digital transformation processes in specific areas like risk management system. As you can see here, we have several steps to implement the digital risk management system. So we have the data collection phase, analysis, automated risk management and audit systems called ARAMS. And here, physical inspection is significantly lowered after the adoption of the digital automated risk management and audit systems. Another example could be integrated electronic custom services, as I mentioned at the beginning, to the eGov platform, as a result of which we can, both the traders, physical persons, and other entities can implement their transactions at their fingertips without a direct contact with any public officials, any customs officers, and this eases significantly their work. There's also government payment portal. This is also an important initiative for transparency and anti-corruption. Anti-corruption strategy has been a central tenet of the customs reforms and digital transformation purpose in the country. And that's why one of the most important effects of digitalization and digital transformation for the customs sector in Azerbaijan has been anti-corruption. We've been quite successful in that regard. The exchange of data, like similar to single automated management system, is currently implemented with these countries, but we're looking forward to enlarging the circle. Russia is just indicated as an example. We also have quite a dense cooperation with Georgia, Ukraine, Turkey, and other GUAM countries, like already mentioned. This allows us to exchange in real time all the data, both for import and export operations, and it minimizes time on the border, as well as the workload. There is even a specific WCO, World Customs Organization methodology on how to measure, and it's called time release study. All these are based on the e-customs concept. So far, whatever I have mentioned so far are based on the Unified Automated Information System, WISE. This is the overall framework for all the customs digital transformations in the country. Starting from HR, the document management, WISE equipment, and even the WCO time release study. I'm sorry, these are specific terminologies pertaining to the customs area, so you might not be well informed about them. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to delve into detail. So all these are based on the Unified Automated Information System, which is improved iteratively too. Single window system is defined here. Sorry?
Oh, no, you have to conclude.
Sorry?
You have to conclude.
Conclude, sure. I'll not then talk about a single window system. I'll just mention the NCTS, which is the latest customs digital reform, and I'll mention what it means. NCTS is near computerized transit system which will allow Azerbaijan to harmonize with the EU customs systems and provide simplifications for trade facilitation among the EU and Azerbaijan. And this twinning project is currently also being streamlined into the digital processes, both in the customs committees, transactions and activities. There is already some work underway, as well as in our training activities. So we're also at the same time concentrating on the NCTS, how to make the project knowledge more sustainable for the other customs officers. In this regard, we're trying to build a specific training component on the NCTS. So before this, we did not have this experience. And these are the challenges, most important challenges. Of course, the first one is digital skills and knowledge, ensuring the customs service personnel sustainably have these information. And the global challenge, smart borders and seamless trade, travel, and transport. This constitutes an important challenge for every customs service in the country. And the digitalization in that regard is underpins all the activities in that specific direction. These are the latest priorities, but I would just jump directly to the importance of Erasmus Plus Workforce projects. Which is closely connected to these priorities. That's why we have joined the Erasmus Plus Workforce project. And artificial intelligence and customs fraud detection systems comes first. This is a priority order, actually. That's why we closely cooperate. We're trying to focus on Industry 4.0 and the other modules that are being developed in the framework of the Workforce Project. Customs machine learning, trade facilitation blockchain, and human resources management for digital customs. Also drones, as well as smart airports. These are all the very important priorities after 2015. And the latest customs digital transformation priorities in Azerbaijan. And that is why we are trying to focus on these modules and to make these modules more viable and relevant for the customs education and training and human resources development in our country. Thanks a lot for your attention. I hope I did not take a lot of time.
Thank you very much, Elvin, for your presentation. So we are running a little bit late of time. So if you have, here are the questions. If you have any, yes?
Yes, please write down your questions and we will put it here and we'll directly jump afterwards to the panel discussion. So we give 1 minute, 1.5 minutes.
If you have any question or comment, just write them in the chat.
Yeah.
And then we will discuss them right now in the panel. Meanwhile, I will explain a little bit about the roundtable. We will have the experts that they gave the presentation. We'll have Karsten, Galina, Elvin, and Peter, and as well 3 more people. They will join us, 2 doctoral professors from the University of Oviedo, Vicente Rodriguez Montequin and Jose Manuel Mesa Fernandez. And also from the University of the Basque Country, Jose Ramon Ortega Olaso. They will join us for the panel, for discussion. So,
30 more seconds to write down your thoughts.
we think. Okay. Okay, I think, Anna, we can proceed to the roundtable. So here we have in red, these are the questions, and then in black, all your comments. I don't know if you can see them. But so I invite Joserra, Jose Manuel, and the rest of the panels to join the session.
Hello, Carolina.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Jose Manuel.
Hello, everybody.
Vicente, hello, welcome.
Vicente, nice to see you again.
The same for me.
So I don't know if you can see the screen or to read the questions.
When we will talk specifically about something, I can enlarge you. You can ask me to enlarge any place and I can make it bigger for you.
Okay. So for the first question, well, the questions that were asked they are the same for the 4 presentations. but we'll go for the first one. For example, here, the first question is, what is your advice for the audience working with this kind of projects, these digital transformation projects? So how would you motivate the participations of the open COPs, this open community of practice? I don't know who wants to answer this, maybe Karsten, that you are very familiar to this concept.
Yeah, I'm asking myself also this question: how can I motivate people to participate in it? So, if you are looking at this specific type of digital transformation project, this university related projects with this Erasmus funding, then we have a big difference compared to a project within one company. Within one company, you tell the people, okay, it's your job to do this project. It's part of your work description. And please do this. It's also part of your salary and so on. So you have a different type of commitment. While these university-led or let's say coming from the higher education sector, these projects are a bit more free in terms of who is participating, which commitment do you give, and so on. People are doing this as a maybe part of their academic job, but it is not really a crystal clear assignment to this project. And that is also the issue with the communities of practice. They are somewhere in between classical project teams at a company where you are clearly assigned and have a dedicated time budget and so on for this work, and the typical interaction in social networks, where everybody is just posting something when he likes or she likes to do something, and where it is completely like in the hobby domain, not in the professional domain. And the communities of practice is an instrument that is in between. So people are not forced to join; they can jump in and do something and leave again. This concept came a bit, for example, from open source software development, where people had to build a community with no formal commitment and no formal membership, but just depending on the motivation of people to contribute something meaningful and so on. So what are the motivating factors for people? It is, of course, a community. Because maybe they like to be with these people, they like to discuss an interesting topic. It is the motivation to have a certain outcome afterwards that you can use or show to others. All these factors which are influencing, let's say, self-motivated participation in activities. There's also this topics that you can contribute something, that you can do something. So people like to participate in something where they are not just passive listeners, but doing something. And all these elements play a role. And the idea is that this is the right instrument for this higher education projects, where you have to deal with a limited commitment and limited time budget of people, and where you have to rely on the self-motivation and intrinsic motivation to participate. So it was already a lengthy comment on this, but that is, I think it is a core issue with this kind of higher education digital transformation projects, that there is that you have to rely on the intrinsic motivation of people.
Yeah. I think what you said is related to the other comment, that is to be agile and Scrum-bound as possible in order to work with this community of practice. What do you think about this statement of these agile systems and Scrum-bound? Maybe a quick answer, or
May I talk, Carolina?
Yes.
I would like to comment on Karsten's comment to the previous question.
Okay.
From the project management point of view, I see this community of practices as a different, as a new challenge. I mean, nowhere in the body of knowledge of PMI or in other guidelines for project management, it talks about this kind of projects where responsibility is shared among voluntary partners. We always have the role of the project manager or the sponsor or the product owner, but normally this type of organization where it is a voluntary participation, it is not tackled. I believe this is a new area of knowledge where we should do some research and some more development from the point of view of the project management community, not only for digital transformation, but if I am thinking on volunteering organizations like the ones participating in the crisis, in the refugee crisis, or in charities, I mean, there are a lot of places where voluntary people is participating and taking the role of very active role in doing things. And I believe the Project Management Academy is not considering them deep enough.
Okay. Another, well, with the same, I cannot see the next question.
Is there are typically ignored concepts with the digital transformation projects that you think are essentials to the success of the project? And here maybe let's talk maybe in general, not directly to ProDIT. I encourage also all of you to comment, all of the panelists, because we have so many nice comments. I can quickly also go from one to one while you are talking.
Maybe the new members of the panel, Vicente, Jose Manuel.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to comment something regarding to this topic? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Well, for instance, myself, I'm going to, okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation to join the panel, right? I like to congratulate also the key speakers because they're very interesting presentations, right? Well, very short because I think we are very short of time, and just connecting some of the questions included in the panel. Well, one reflection, right, and one comparison with something that all of us probably can't understand, right? Digitalization is not just only technology, right? It is comparing if you are. There are some kind of people that always want the last model of cellular phone, for example, right? The smarter of the cellular phones, right? But it is not a question of having just only the technology. It's a question of what are you going to do with the technology, right? So in that sense. Well, I don't know if, how to say if it could be my recommendation or what, right? But my idea is that you need to connect the points, the technology. You have a lot of tools and a lot of options you can improve to being a more digital world, right? But you need to ask why do you need that, and the connection of that with your strategy, right? For instance, your business strategy or whatever. So you need to find the pathway in which technology can support your strategy at all, right? And how the digitalization could be a bridge to cover the gap for the sustainability of your organization or things like that, right? That could be my general idea. I don't know if it fits with any of the questions open in the panel, but I think that it is something more transversal, but that's my global idea, right?
Thank you, Vicente. Jose Manuel, do you have a comment regarding to this, or something else that you want to add?
Thank you. Well, I don't know if it's related with this or more or less, but I think from my point of view, from my experience, when in my university, when there are many people interested in this digital transformation and to change the
the learning and teaching processes, but there are many individual or efforts to do this digital transformation, and it's difficult to get results to achieve the goals with these small or very small groups. It's the same that in research, for example, and this is, I think, linked with the community of practice. It's very difficult to integrate all the people interested in all these areas. They come from many different areas of interest, and I don't know how we can collaborate in how to recruit these people for with these projects, with these goals. Well, and other idea related with the first question, my advice for the audience working in this with this kind of project is keep always the final goal in mind, even when this goal sometimes is changing along the project. Sometimes we lose the focus on our objectives and our goal, and just work with technology or frameworks or something like this, and forget the real objective.
Thank you, José Manuel. Peter, do you want to participate?
Yes. I wanted to add some comments on what I put in the questions and so on these first questions for like ProDIT. They're there. So there was two things that I put there. So on the question, what's your advice for the audience working with this kind of project or starting this kind of project? Is a technological infrastructure is, of course, is very important. So what we learned from this and other projects, and this is typical in a European project. When you start it, you have to wait for Europe to give a go. This is also something which was remarked with workforce in the comments on the whiteboard. So Europe gives a go, and until then you can't do anything. You just have to wait until they give a go, and that's the moment you can start. So then it's very important that you get things like technological infrastructure and so on up and running as soon as possible. Yeah, if not, there tends to be some delay in further execution. We learned this in the current projects and we are still learning it, that this is very important. So for people wanting to start and do this, you have this problem. There was also the remark that if you write a project in advance and then you start to work on it, everything you do on technological side may be outdated. IT, nothing in the world ages as soon as quick as IT things, IT tools and hardware, and that's certainly true. But doesn't mean that you can't reach your goal, because as I said in my talk, the digital transformation is just what's the impact of the way you digitalize a lot of things in your processes. So there's the one thing. So that's kind of an advice. And the second thing which I put there was that the target you want to reach, you need to define it, because if not, it's a project. If you define a project, it's something with a target, a time scale, and a budget. Yeah. So If you start with it without a target, then you run into problems, of course, because there is nowhere to go. And this is also, I think, a little bit the problem with the open COPs. To start and motivate people to come into the open COP, that the outcome at first, when you start it, is not completely defined. Yeah? And then it's tough to attract people in a community like this. It's true that it's not often used. There was mentioned all of these volunteering things, and the world is full of volunteers who work in organizations and stuff, and they have a tough time to being recognized. Look at the WWF, the Worldwide Wildlife Fund. It took them about 20 years before they was recognized in the world as being there. So that's for sure something which is also an advice if you start on it. Try to define it. Yeah, we had clear definitions in the projects to start with, but even then we still see these problems of attracting people there. And I would also like to, some remarks which it's under the European project from Belgium. The concern that university and higher educations, that the people in there and the bureaucracy in there is pretty much conservative. There is a question, some professors in our universities are reluctant to use online teaching. So how will they ever teach digital transformation? Yeah, it's a reality, and it's not only in the professorships, but it's also in bureaucracy, which was touched in another question. People is conservative. It's just an observation which is made as long as people are on Earth, and through history, anything which is new is looked at with a lot of skepticism, and it's not easy to put people in there. I've seen the same thing happening in international relations. Erasmus scheme is around since 1987. So that's now about 35 years or something that the Erasmus scheme is there. Still, it's very tough to get colleagues in the university, let's say, heated up to do international things. They are stuck in their research group. They are stuck in their own ecosystem a little bit. And it's the same thing with the digital transformation. It's a matter of being, keep on trying, I would say, to get these people aboard, despite the skepticism and the conservatism in it. And that's, I think there is no other way. It helps if university management, and in digital transformation also company management, of course, is the first ones which should be behind the idea. Yeah? If not, it will not function. You cannot get in a pyramid, the base can do what they want, but the hierarchy on top, they should be the first to promote the ideas. That's the only thing to speed it up, I think. But from another level, it will be tricky, and you can only depend on other volunteering colleagues, I think, to pull the wagon or to push it forward. Okay, but that's my opinions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Peter, and thank you very much to all the participants. I think we have to finish now because there are other presentations and sessions. Well, all these comments and questions, we will store it, and then we will work on those, and we will talk about them in the project. Thank you very much for your valuable participation and very interesting presentations and comments. Thank you. And thank you, Anna, for the panel. Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Alf.
Yes.
And goodbye.
Thank you very
Goodbye,
much.
Bye,
It's a
thank
pleasure.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.